The U.S. presidential race hit top gear this week as Democratic Party held its national convention in Denver. Now, official Democratic Party nominee Barack Obama gave the speech that was lauded in many corners. But is he the great orator? How does he stack up with America's best? Allan Bonner knows. He studied every major American campaign speech since 1896. He was in Denver. He's here now. Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure.
So how does Mr. Barack Obama stack up?
Well, he's certainly well above average. If I were marking him, if I were a teacher marking him, I'd put him in the top quartile. But remember, speakers are always speaking from the perspective of the context. William Jennings Bryan, 1896, Cross of Gold, huge economic issue. Eisenhower, not a great speaker, but in 1952, when he said, "I shall go to Korea," he brought with him all the credibility he had as the commander-in-chief in Europe during World War II. Kennedy was campaigning against the backdrop of the Cold War. So Obama's very good, but to be excellent, you need a great wave to surf on.
There were many opportunities for us to pull clips and get your take on them, but as Canadians, the one that particularly is of interest to us is the one that ties to oil. And he made a promise about reducing America's dependence on foreign energy. Let's take a listen now.
And for the sake of our economy, our security, and the future of our planet, I will set a clear goal as president. In 10 years, we will finally end our dependence on oil from the Middle East.
Now, as Canadians, we're happy to hear you said dependence on oil from the Middle East, not from Canada. What are the words beneath the words?
Well, the words are 35-year-old words. You know, Richard Nixon had a lot of great domestic policy after the first Arab oil embargo, and some of it was cars that got 50 miles to the gallon and so on and so forth. So I'm going to believe this when I see it. But if this is the clip that our children are watching, like the Kennedy clip, we're going to put a man on the moon in 10 years, this is a remarkable piece of public policy. It also can be excellent economic policy. The supply-side economics of the Republicans has not trickled down the way people anticipated, because we had the Reagan years, we had the Bush years on that. Barack Obama is a tax cutter, and more so than I almost called him George McCain, no, more so than McCain. But what he's also looking at is the failures of the trickle down to the working people and to the middle class, and he's saying, what's going to fix them? It could be infrastructure, it could be the off-oil, it could be vowing to put 1 million hybrids on the road during his tenure. Boone Pickens has personally told him that's got to be 100 million hybrids. Those kinds of things could create manufacturing jobs. You
mentioned supply side, very traditionally associated with Republicans. I understand that it's somewhat associated with him as well. Not as Keynesian as the lefties would hope, so to speak? No, he he's a salad bar kind of a guy. He's taking what he thinks has worked in the past, and he's also modifying it. He's not dogmatic. So that's where it looks as if he might be appealing to the so-called Sam's Club Republicans, the working people for whom supply side didn't get helped all that much. So he could be having a smorgasbord, if you will, of policies, including infrastructure that could help. So he's looking for a trickle down that will work. What about trickle up? And I mean more metaphorically, politically speaking, relationships with Canada specifically. What can we expect if this man finds himself in the Oval Office?
Well, I mean, let's be realistic. Canada is about as interesting to the average American and even the average American or an exceptional American politician as one of the distant Roman provinces was, or maybe Egypt was, to the Roman Empire. So let's get serious about that. I think we may have a friend in Joe Biden who is a worldly person, and after all, Barack Obama was near Canada in Boston and in Chicago. So I suspect he knows where it is. That's about all I know.
84,000 people, a stadium.
Yeah.
This is a game changer for future conventions, isn't it?
Look, I'm of the age where I've been in a fair number of rock concerts. I've been in a lot of political conventions and rallies, and this was real. There's some things you can fake in politics and some things you can't. The fire marshal had to take people off the stage last night, or off the floor last night. It really was 84,000 people, and they went nuts.
Allan, great having you with you. Thank you for your perspective tonight.
Pleasure.
Allan Bonner, Communications Management.